afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Collaboratory, the show where Mike Morris improvises an animatic with a little bit of help from our audience. And in the next hour, each of us is going to have the chance to learn a little bit more about the craft of storyboarding. Now, to bring our story to life, we always need three elements. We need two characters, a setting, and a conflict. Now, last time on Collaboratory, we started out with Felicia, a young woman, walking through the wilderness in the middle of a storm seeking shelter. And in this episode, we're going to have the conclusion. So if you have any sort of ideas or something that you want to see interjected, please feel free to put it in the chat, and Mike might make that magic happen.
Yeah, give us some suggestions of how to bring this story home. Because Felicia, well, what do you say that we run through what we have, and then we'll kind of go from there and see what people think.
That's an awesome idea. This will give everybody a chance that didn't see it last week's episode to get up.
All right. So here we have poor Felicia struggling through the wilderness, walking through dark and possibly torrential conditions. She's a little scared, looking around for possible refuge, opens her map, looks at the map and sees, like, she doesn't really know where she's at, but it starts to rain. And her map starts getting wet, and she's, So she closes her map back again and starts looking around, and then boom! Lightning flashes behind her, and you see her, like, start booking it. And she starts running, and she sees in the distance a small, like, hovel sort of shack. So this is a break from our usual Collaboratory in that we're usually, like, pretty strong on the comedic sense, and this time we went for drama. So we need some dramatic stuff. Like last time, didn't they say something about a horse? There was like a horse or something like that.
We talked about a horse, and I believe the concept was that she was going to find a companion, that was going to help get her out of the situation. So maybe if she's coming up on this shack, it's a barn, or there's some kind of horse that's going to help come to save her. But we'd love to hear from the audience what your guys' ideas are. One thing I do want to stress, and Mike, you touched on it before, we are trying to stay away from the comedic and keep the drama on this going. So very, rooted ideas are what we're looking for to help bring this home.
There's a lot of great ideas last time. So let us have it. Let's see what you got.
One thing I noticed, in one of your original paintings, you had an orange arrow on it. For the people that aren't that familiar with storyboarding, what do the arrows often indicate when you see them in a storyboard?
Okay, let's look. Let's go back. So the arrows will indicate just directionality generally. In this case, the storyboard's background would be receding behind her, indicating movement. So if I was to do this with a layer motion, I would select our background layer, right? So we have this background layer, and this is all background here. And that is consistent over several different panels. So if I wanted to, I could go to the layer motion, right? And if I push home, I go to the beginning of the layer, and then I can set a keyframe by clicking on this little guy right here from holding still to running. And that, if you notice down here on the timeline, sets a keyframe. And if I go to end, then I can move this background here about yay far. She's not walking terribly fast, but it'll happen over several frames. So I will go to the layer, spread layer motion, all panels in the same scene. So now the layer is spread over, and you see that now it looks like she's still walking.
That's a really great way to give the sense of that, of how the scene is progressing. So we still are looking for ideas from the chat. To everybody out there, please just put them out. and we're really looking forward to hearing what kind of ideas you guys have.
In the meantime, we can sort of flesh out a couple of these drawings here of poor Felicia. She runs for some kind of safety, and I believe Felicia was around like what 10 or something like that. She was very young.
Yeah, we were trying to get definitely a younger girl. Like 10, 11. I think it was actually 8. 8 to 10 is the age range that Felicia's at.
Okay. So, and I think we can also drop a tone down. Here's a little trick for tones as well, folks. I don't know if I've showed this one to you before. I might have. I don't know. It gets nebulous after a while. But for those of you who don't really know how to use the this tool, the white arrow, the contour editor, you can just make a little dot, and sometimes you can just drag that dot out. You add a couple more points by pushing Control or Command on the Mac. You can just drag some points out instead of having to color in the whole screen. Drag a couple of points out and call it a day. I'm gonna grab these really quick. Cut paste, so it's on the right side of things. All right, and then I can do this right here, where I can also add back in some of that lightning.
All right, we're still looking for ideas to take this home. We'll give the chat another 2 or 3 minutes to pull something up. If not, Mike, I'm sure we can come up with something between the two of us.
If not, I've got ideas on how this should go already. But you know what? I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear what I want to show me our creativity, people. Show it to me. It's gonna be sort of behind the mountains there. And there's maybe we're brushing that one. Let's zoom that down a little bit.
Is there a simple tool that you can use to give the mountains more like a two-tone feel? Like if you wanted to just gently put like snow on the caps or something like that?
Yeah, I mean that's generally a layering thing. But if I wanted to put some snow caps on mountains here, then I would just take this thing off here. I would just do it on the top. I like it so.
Yeah.
Just draw over, the top of it. And then again, bring out the select by color. Grab the lines that go on top. And there you go.
All right, Mike, I've got some great news. We've got an idea. So,
Great.
Wilson 31, thank you very much for your contribution. Felicia runs into the shelter and the doors are runs into the shelter and the doors are locked. She looks under the carpet and finds a key.
Okay. Cool. I like it. Let's go and grab
before she can get in.
Okay. Let me just grab this new drawing of Felicia and move it over. We'll get rid of this background here. Put our new background in. So, let's see. She would then run to this place. Let me just move.
She runs there. She's trying to get the door open to get out of the storm. It's locked. Then she looks down. There's the welcome mat. And sure enough, with the trick in the book, there's the key.
Okay, so we've got her running from screen left to screen right. So we need to have her coming in from screen left to screen right. So let's do this. Or we'll have like it's like the eaves of this house. Maybe some like old siding shiplap or something like that. Maybe it's a little bit run down.
It's seen better days.
Yeah, it's definitely seen better days. Maybe it's even, got a couple notches or something like that out of the post. Indicate that it's sort of, falling apart a little bit. We can put that on a separate layer. Layer this up properly. And we'll put that background here. We'll put some of these mountains and hills and such. And then there was a tree that we saw before. We can put the part of that tree up here to maintain mastery over the eye of the audience. Is it you want to put I call it backstopping. I don't know if there's a proper term for it, but if you put something in a composition where say if I was to take this out, right? If I was to take that out, there would be nothing to keep your eye from just wandering straight off the composition. So if I put that back, then there's something to sort of like keep your eye circling around in the composition.
It's a really interesting technique.
Let's get some more stuff in here.
Can you do the same thing where if you put more action in one area to kind of draw the person's eye there?
Yeah, there's all kinds of visual things that you can do to draw people's eye. Like, for instance, here on the eave of the roof, right? I have it. All of these lines, even the ones that are sort of pointed in a curvature here,
yeah,
they're all designed to point toward her. Those lines will lead you toward Felicia.
Mike, we had another question. Somebody asked, how much overlap is there between the art of storyboarding and comic books?
Tons of overlap. Storytelling is obvious. Storytelling is obviously paramount there. You've also got additional elements. The over tremendous.
If somebody was interested in getting into storyboarding, would you say that if their opportunity was to go and do a year of like comic book or animation in comics, good starting point for somebody that wants to get into storyboarding if they can't get that first job?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, there are tons of people that have transitioned from penciling comics to storyboards. It's just a different grammar. Comic books in many ways are a lot freer than doing storyboards, in the fact that you can, like, for instance, if I want to tell a story in panels, I could do like, I've got a panel like this, and that leads into this panel here, which leads into this, and then this, right? I can panel it out and be like, oh hey, there's a thing that's happening there. Oh my gosh. And then we can see this person, and we're switching formats, and it's like, ha ha ha, I've got this canister of terrible stuff. And he's like, no, you won't get away with this, villain. And he'll be like, yeah, but I already have. Wah, something like that. But that's 4 panels, right? And I can tell that story with whatever sort of compositional style I want, right? Whereas here, it would be limited to this 16 by 9 frame.
Yeah.
So comics, yeah, they directly translate over. They just storyboards are a little bit more limited in format.
And do you find that maybe some of the limiting comes from that it has to get animated after? Because once you've drawn an image in a comic, it's kind of set, I guess you can say. Whereas, if you have Felicia running, well, somebody's got to do the run cycle on that after. So maybe are there some more limitations because of that?
Sorry, what was that last part?
Are there some more limitations because once you've drawn something in a comic book, it's kind of set and done to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Whereas you create a storyboard, somebody's got to sit down and do that. So if Felicia has 6 different walk cycles, well, somebody has to animate 6 different walk cycles.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. All right, let's duplicate that, and then we will just run her up toward the door.
And we are welcoming any other questions if anybody has in the chat. If you have questions about storyboarding or the craft, Mike would be more than happy to answer them. Please just Absolutely. Put them in, and hopefully we'll have an answer for you.
And just take her and make her look back a little bit while she's running.
Okay, Wilson31 has another idea.
Wilson, all right.
It's not great for Felicia, mind you, but she says that when she uses the key to enter the cabin, she takes 1 step in and the floor breaks and she falls.
Yeah, there's a possibility. She probably wouldn't fall very far as it's, on the ground, unless there's like some secret drug lab underneath or something. But yeah, we can do that. Sure. Hey, why not?
Yeah, we can definitely put that in. And for all the other people in the chat, we'd love to hear from you guys as well.
Wilson's carrying the team right now, you guys.
I know Wilson's doing a fantastic job.
So boom, and then we can take this same one and we'll duplicate that, and then we'll move it over to the end. So we have this same sort of thing, and we can get poor Felicia here up to the door. And she should be, okay, so background. We need to separate some of this stuff here. So I'll take this section here. And get all of the stuff. Put it, and then I need to put it on layer D. And we're going to use that select that color trick. Don't push the Windows button accidentally, because then your other stuff will come up and be like, oh, hey. All right. You guys probably can't see that, huh? Because I'm sharing a specific window. Actually, I pushed Windows and my Windows menu came up. All right, what do we got here?
Mike, when we spoke last time, you had mentioned that you need to learn how to do gesture drawing. Are there any good books or resources you can recommend to our audience about gesture drawing?
Oh, gesture drawing, gosh, there's tons. I would turn more toward the internet. personally, there's a bunch of people that are really great at like teaching gesture drawing. Honestly, looking at some, just looking at some people's stuff. Paul Briggs comes to mind as somebody who's really good at gesture drawing. He's a director, artist Matt Jones. He has some stuff that he does with as far as like a boarding class or there's a bunch of different people that are really good at gesture drawing. The biggest thing is just like figuring out how to break down a figure into simple parts and line of action and following rhythms and things like that you'll just learn over time. As far as books go, I can't point to one. I mean, there's probably like the Bern Hogarth books, dynamic figure drawing, and some of those others. But oh, you know what? The Walt Stanchfield books, Drawn to Life. That's what I can recommend is the Walt Stanchfield books.
Walt Stanchfield, Drawn to Life. Okay.
She looks a little tall for this, actually. So we're gonna make her just a little shorter, and make her sort of look up a little bit.
Did you just make Felicia's legs shorter, or did you actually just shrink the entire character down a bit?
I shrunk the entire character down. If I just made, I'm trying to keep the perspective. So I mean, if you just made the legs shorter, you would get this, which makes her look like she's 4.
Yeah.
But so if I'm just trying to keep her in the perspective of this sort of shot. She'll come up to the door, and I think that we could do something like there's a couple of things. You know what? Let's try this. Let's do this. We'll do an extreme down shot, right? We'll have this rickety sort of porch here, and then we'll have a door frame. This we'll have.
Okay.
Maybe we'll put the horseshoe over the door or something like that.
Like that.
We'll put.
And for our audience members that don't know, this would be a bird's eye shot.
Sure. I could see a bird nesting comfortably up here.
That's it. No, because I believe in one of the other collaboratories you talked about a bird's eye and a worm's eye shot.
Right. Yes, I did. And the difference being that, this I think would be more of a classic overhead shot than anything else. All of these are sort of referred to as a down shot.
So technically a bird's eye and a down shot, it's the same shot, it's just different terminology?
It's different terminology. Like a bird's eye view would be like from more of an extreme height.
Okay.
And a worm's eye would definitely be sort of from a more extreme like lower position.
Okay.
And even though I have some of this here that looks, like nice and straight, I'm gonna muddy it up, make it look a little bit janky and messed up.
It's a little more weathered and worn.
A little bit, yeah, a little more weathered, a little bit more personality, So you can have some spots that are missing. It's always good to put a little bit of extra personality into your boards. Like give things some character. Give it some a little bit of extra something to make it not just something that goes from point A to point B, All right. So we've got this sort of weather-beaten mess. Let's put that rug in there as per the suggestion of Wilson. Was that Wilson? Or was that somebody else?
They said that Felicia finds the key underneath the rug.
Yeah, but who was it? Was it Wilson? Or
That was Wilson 31 or Superstar.
That was Wilson. Okay, great, Wilson. Good job. All right, so we'll have let's take all of this, put it on the BG layer, and we will turn it into like more of a shade of gray to differentiate against our character. As she steps up, a little bit of the screen step. Drawing stuff in perspective always gets a little tricky, but it just takes time and practice, sometimes a little bit of messing around. But sort of things that, again, I will continually extol the virtues of vector drawing because it's just so much easier.
And for our audience, can you explain briefly the difference between vector drawing and the alternative?
The vector drawing, like here, you can see that I can, if I have something that I'm drawing here, and I can grab the various lines and move them around, right? Because they're each vectors. To put it even more plainly and simply, if I come up here just the pure vector part, I can use my contour editor and see that all of these are made up of individual nodes.
Yeah.
These nodes can be manipulated, dragged around, moved, shaped. It's if you ever wondered what your what algebra and stuff was for, that's this. I always wondered what the practical uses of some of the math that I had in grade school. But if I was to go like this and add a bitmap drawing, okay, started to draw. Now this is pixel based, so you can see it creates some great effects, some softer things, but it's also pixel locked. So if I was to select it, I can only select it as a big group, right? So if I put something right here on this same layer, see now it's just one big thing. I can't move them all individually.
So with a vector, you can break it down.
Huh?
With a vector, if I understand correctly, you can break it down.
Yeah. So then here, if I wanted to get rid of something, I have to actually physically erase it like I would in like Photoshop. Photoshop is a bitmap program, right?
Yeah.
So it's not there, it's still selecting things, right? So that's the biggest difference. You can do both in this program. I generally tend to stick to the vector, personally.
I'm wondering how we're going to interject the horse into this. If we want to have that, because if we've got, she's going to get inside, she potentially is going to fall through the floor. How do we have the horse downstairs?
Oh, I've got a solution for that. Don't you worry.
Yes, fantastic. As long as you know where it's going, Mike, we're in great hands.
I know where it's going. I know exactly where it's going. Although the audience should be the one that is telling me where it's going, but we're integrating, right? We're integrating everything.
We're integrating everything, and we are looking for more suggestions. If anybody else has some ideas out there, please feel free to put them in the chat.
Okay, so back to our story. Felicia, here we go. Felicia. She's still sort of clutching her map. She's got her backpack on. Not as affected by the wind right now. And we can got her approaching there. Maybe she'll step up onto the porch. Now we can take. We can either have her sort of like step up into place, which you would in an animatic, but in this case, we don't need her to do that. Just have her step up onto the porch. Again, vector, yo. You can, foreshorten that a little bit better.
Mike, on some of the productions that you've worked on, have you ever had the chance to travel anywhere to get inspiration for your storyboards? Or, have you gone to interesting places?
No, that's more of a features thing. I've worked in TV all of my career, really, except for a couple of instances. And the people that go on those sort of trips, like what you'd see in like like a Disney thing. Oh, we went to like Chris Sanders went to Hawaii to go study for Lilo and Stitch, and feel the Hawaiian culture and stuff like that. That's generally just like show leadership for the most part.
Yeah.
So the people that get to go on those sort of trips are not just anyone. You have to be in charge of a movie or something to really get that.
Okay.
All right, and then we'll just give a little bit of close-up facial acting to her.
I think she should maybe almost have like a look of relief on her face when she finds the key and she can get inside. Well, because it's a little bit of a false sense of security.
So there's a couple of wispies. Backpack. Nap. Looks like I still have my fill-in on.
So we've got another question from the audience here.
Yeah,
They
what's up?
wanted to know, there's 12 principles of animation, 12 principles of animation. Which are most important for storyboarding?
Oh, you mean like the 9 Old Men, 12 Principles of Animation?
I believe so.
Um,
I think they're talking about like anticipation, bounce and stretch,
Squash and
you
Stretch.
know,
Yeah, I mean they're all
squash
important.
and stretch.
They're
Thank
they're
you.
all important things. I mean, I wouldn't single out any of them, and they're all for different things. Obviously, they apply to animation, but I mean, really, storyboarding is just the first step to getting something animated, right? But
Mhm.
what you're focusing on in storyboards is the telling of the story, right? That's what you're supposed to be focused on, is the telling of the story that you're telling. So, I mean, the 12 principles of animation do come into play in certain like aspects, but really what you're looking at is staging and composition. So I guess that would be the most important.
Okay.
Staging,
Great
composition.
question. Great question. If the chat has any more questions, please feel free to put them right in. Oh, we've got another one. Um, are you going to use the camera view for anything? Somebody's really pushing here. I need to learn how to use that. So I don't know if Mike, if there's a
I'm
chance.
using the camera
We've
view
got
right now.
20 minutes to wrap this up.
I'm using the camera view right
Okay.
now. So the camera view, really, all it is just, here's the stage view. So stage view, I can zoom in and out like this, and it keeps my drawing like that in camera view. But I guess if you're using the camera tool, it makes a big difference. Like if I was to zoom in on the camera tool, you can see like that, right? If I use it on the stage, then that's you can see everything else in the cameras. Um, it's a little bit less like you're in camera, as opposed to when you do things in camera. But yeah, camera view is great.
Thank you. It's a fantastic question.
All right, so let's just get into derpy drawings because we don't have a lot of time.
No.
Let's have her look down. It's looking too much. There, 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 and just flatten those eyes down to make it look like she's looking down. The new shot. We got a point of view shot.
Okay, we've got another one. So I believe it's a comment from one of our viewers, and they're saying you need to explain the plot more deeply. So instead of connecting the subject to an event, we can make a moment of crisis that happens immediately.
Okay. Yeah. Well, obviously we're limited in the amount of time that we can make connections, right? So there's that. Um, Drama
But
always
if we
takes
have,
longer because you need to set up the tension, right? Drama is nothing without tension, right? Like for here, if I had my choice, instead of just giving her little looks and stuff like that, she'd be like, what do I do? And you put more acting into it. It's like it's a shot in the dark, but whatever, I'm gonna try it. And she'll put her hand down,
yeah.
and then lift up the mat.
All right, Mike, since you know where this is going, I'll let you know if we have time to do this. The person that asked about the camera one question ago, she may not have posed her question correctly the first time. They meant to say the thing that lets you move the camera view around the scene.
The
I
thing that
think
lets
that
you, so
what
that
they're
like
making reference to is
the
yeah,
camera
Mike, go ahead.
tool, I believe, is what you're referring to. Let's see. What do we have her name? So the camera tool is what you're after there, and you can
Do we
find
have
all the
time to
documentation.
show it, or are we running out?
We're running out of time, so you can find the documentation on the Toon website. The camera is pretty simple. I mean, really, just pick the camera tool, and then you can size it. You can rotate things. All of that jazz. It's really a simple tool to use. So I imagine that you'll be able to do it fairly, figure it out fairly quickly. And let's just do like an old school
Oh
key
yeah,
here.
an old school key with like the big heavy pins on it.
Yeah.
So if she is still going to bump into this horse, I think we need some great ideas for the horse. Maybe what kind of horse is it? Since she's in the wilderness, is it like a wild Mustang, or maybe it's like a very well dressed horse? Like a yeah, like a stallion of some sorts. So to the chat, what kind of ideas can we put forth for a horse? We're looking for some great suggestions.
Okay. Let's put this door on a separate level.
All right. So one of our viewers, I think they were here last time, Provo Creative. The horse is inside the cabin.
The horse is inside the cabin. Okay. How about we do this? So she opens the door. She found a key. So let's just swing this door open. And if we use the perspective tool here, then we can just make a couple of little adjustments. Right? So we have opening door. We'll put the latch stuff on either side. Little girl in the doorway. And then she needs a little bit of looking around. Of course, this is an environment into which she's not familiar. Then just sort of walk inside. Still unsure, still a little bit trepidatious.
Yeah.
But making progress. And here, to satisfy the curiosity of the person talking about the camera, we're going to add a camera move. And I'm going to add a keyframe to that camera move. You see it pops a little keyframe right here. And then I'm going to do one at the end. So using the camera tool here, I'm going to zoom out and pull down. So she comes in and then starts to make her way forward. And then I'm going to duplicate that and then get rid of the camera move keyframes since we don't want any more camera move. And then she is going to, the floor is going to give way and it's going to start like cracking underneath her foot and
All right, so we've got some interesting things from Provo Creative here. Don't know if they fit the mode of what we're doing, but they are kind of fun. So I'm just going to put them out there. Okay. The horse is a retired racehorse. Okay, with a retired jockey on its back. The horse is in a scavenged underwater spacesuit. I'm not quite sure how that works out. With a jockey wearing a scavenged underwater spacesuit. I think we were trying to keep this a little more realistic, and
yeah, we're trying to keep this into a drama thing. So I think that as awesome as that sort of thing would be, Provo Creative, for some reason I feel like I probably know you personally. That's not gonna work for this particular.
For this one, it's something we could say for another time.
Yeah, I think, and then let's do, just for the sake of brevity, that
right,
there is
and
just a hole in the floor.
Felicia has chimed in and said, "What if we had the horse walking into a barn on 2 feet, like a creepy beer from Fine and Jack?" I think that might have gotten mistaken. Maybe there might be a typo in that one.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think keeping this grounded in reality
That's
probably a
definitely the
great
best
idea.
idea here. But we definitely appreciate all the ideas. But we've got
Yeah.
about
Well,
9 minutes to wrap this up. So
the next month, I'm sure that we will have something more, a little bit more out there. Just bring
comedic
your
and weird.
suggestions next time. We can do some wacky crap next time.
Yeah, we'll do something very weird and funny next time. So
Ah,
Felicia falls through.
yeah. And maybe we'll put Felicia's little arm or something like that sticking up, like so we can see like that it's her like falling through. Okay, new shot. I think what the best play here is that she's in like a farrier's shop underneath.
Okay.
You see the anvil. You see some sort of forge or something over here, coal forge, and possibly like a doorway, like leading up. Up to the ground again.
Yeah.
So like this would basically be like an underground blacksmith shop.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Bless you. Or maybe the house is on a hill with an extended back, and as she falls through, she's there, and there's just another staircase to get back up.
Yeah. And so we see her, and she's fallen. Maybe we can to enhance the cinematography of this. Maybe she could be like really large in frame. We'll put this just over here, make it a little bit smaller. So it's nice and in frame. Make this anvil a little bit bigger and put it over here. Maybe leave a hammer on it. Some tongs.
One of our viewers, Pasha Po, just wanted to thank you, Mike, for putting these streams together, and thinks that your animation is incredible and you're the best.
What's up, Pasha? That's my boy right there.
Pasha, do you have any ideas of what the horse can look like, or something you can get? We can give Mike to work with.
Okay, let's see. So this little stairway here, kind of rickety or something, and then everything obviously would be very dark in here.
Yeah.
And we're just down into thumbnails at this point. But
That's it, Mike. Just to keep you in the loop, we have about 5 minutes to wrap this up.
Well, dang it, man. Okay, here's another trick, folks. Watch this one. Go back to my normal brush. I'm just going to draw around here. That's not the right trick. Take off the fill thing. I can do like this. And then again, highlight with the contour editor and drag out points. So just put this.
Was that the same tool that you showed us at the beginning?
Yep, very same.
Nice.
People don't use it a lot, and I don't know why, because it's such a powerful tool. Like, again, you can do just so much with it. Oh, I know what's wrong here. Let's select that, and that goes on the bottom layer here. Then we use our, once again, oof. So now we have her down here in the bottom, and we can even, shade her in a little bit more. So we can see that she's kind of fallen down in there, and then we have the bits of, dust and crap that fall down. Little things that are sort of raining down. And then she would stand up, I imagine, and just kind of, trudge it up. Then new shot. Oops. She comes up. Out of there. So you're coming up the stairs, and that's when she comes face to face with this horse. That has been tied up to something.
There we go.
And we'd probably have it start low and have like some sort of stable-ish kind of thing up here. So this would have maybe like some boards or something coming up here. Like basically it'd be like the stable is on the back of the house and you walk down into the forge. So
and there's the horse.
There's the horse.
That's it. All right, Mike. Do you want to take us to the front of it and roll the entire animatic for the audience so we can see it?
Yeah. Let me just draw some surprise on this little girl's face.
I think she might even be relieved to see the horse there. Because essentially that means that there's probably somebody else that's going to be at the house so she can get some help.
You would think so, but the old person that lived there before is deceased. Nobody knew that. Nobody knew that, but this horse is on its own, and is currently in the process of starving. Because nobody's taking care of it.
If she can untie it, they can both get a good meal. I'm just looking for a happy ending at the end of the story.
Well, the ending is that they both escape together. She feeds it. She feeds it, and together they find their way back to civilization.
Pasha Poe just chimed in with another idea that inside we could have something scary like aliens or a ghost unicorn. Once again, interesting idea, but I think we were
that's
trying to
some
keep it rooted.
stellar ideas and stuff, but unfortunately for this story it won't work quite as well. But yeah, let's go through the whole thing. So we have we're going to go to the camera view for the fans of the camera view. So we have Felicia, the forlorn and lost little girl in the wilderness of, I don't know, what's
I feel like she's in Peru.
I don't know. I was thinking like somewhere in Canada or like the Rocky Mountains or something like that.
Like Montana?
Yeah, Montana. Let's make it Montana.
Montana, okay.
She's in Montana, and she's really cold and looking around to try and find some way or shelter or something. She looks at her map. Map's not really helping. She doesn't know where she is, but it starts to rain. Oh no! It's gonna rain. It's gonna ruin my map. Looks around. Oh crap! Things are getting worse. And then lightning, and she starts running for it. She sees a little hovel in the background. Oh my gosh! Better go. She runs toward it. With this one, we should probably do a layer motion, just really fast. So check that. Put that there, and then zoom out a little bit, and let's put the pivot point right there, so we can see it coming toward her like that. So she's running toward that thing, and she comes toward it. Now I can get back to their normal size. Okay, running back. She's running toward it, comes to the porch, steps up there, looks around like, what? And then instantly finds the key, opens the door, looks around again, steps in, and then, floorboards! Falls down into an underground farrier's workshop. She gets up, walks up there. We could probably just do this really fast. Have her come up into this shot. And there she is, standing there, and there's a horse. And the horse would probably start with its head farther down low, like this. Yay for the power of vector. Here we go. That's our story for this time.
Fantastic.
The drama
Mike,
takes longer. That's the point of this whole story. Is drama takes longer to do. Comedy, you can tell a joke and get in and get out. The drama, you need to build tension. You need to build a lot more.
That's it. So thank you once again, Mike, for doing the collaboratory with us. Is there anything that you want to draw our attention to?
At the current moment, it's just the same thing as last time. The Animation Guild's still going through negotiations, so keep up that support.
And there we have it. So another thing I want to bring everyone's attention to is that Toon Boom will be live tomorrow, and we're doing a special panel with a special panel. And the topic is starting an animation studio. So if you have interest in starting your own animation studio, or you're a graduate with a bunch of friends, you're like, hey, this would be great to go into, make sure that you tune in tomorrow, because you'll get all the ins and outs from an industry expert on it. So until next week, I want to thank everybody for coming by. And if Mike can draw this in 2 hours, imagine what you can do in 3 weeks. You can download a free trial of Storyboard Pro at toonboom.com and find tons of free instructional information at learn.toonboom.com. As well as, if you're looking for more interviews, please visit blog.toonboom.com for more articles about storyboarding, animation, and 2D gaming. And until next time, everyone, keep your pens on the tablets and the animatics rolling. Cheers.
Bye, everybody.